It is an honor to have this particular person on the podium here. State Senator Catherine Clark, for a few words. Senator.
Thank you. The honor is really mine to be here with you today, and thank you, Marshall, and to our Grand Marshal, and Mayor Christensen, and to all the school committee members and city councilors who have come out today. It's an extraordinarily wonderful showing. And to our Veteran Service Officer, Kevin Jarvis, thank you for all the work that you do, and not only putting these events together, but helping our veterans every day. And to the students and families who are here today, and especially to our veterans and their families. Today we come together as a Malden community to honor those who served our country, and to remember those who paid the ultimate price, and to thank the families and friends of those who served and are serving today. And to our veterans, we thank you for your service and for your sacrifice. I hope that you can feel our pride and our deep gratitude for what you do. And even while I know you feel the weight of the loss of those who did not make it home, your bravery inspires us, and it reminds me of a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, "You gain strength and courage and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say yourself, I lived through this, and I can take the next thing that comes along." There are over 21 million men and women in this nation who have gained that strength and courage and confidence through their service. And there are over 388,000 veterans living right here in Massachusetts. This is the first Veterans Day since the horrific bombings at the Boston Marathon back in April. And we saw the same type of courage on display that day, when our first responders, medical professionals, even spectators rushed towards the destruction to help the fallen. And since then, our region and the Malden community has come together to care and support those victims. And let us remember the immense bravery of those who are continue to recover from their devastating injuries. Today, I hope that we will consider what that spirit displayed by those veterans and by the heroes of the Boston Marathon means to us. First, we must take care of each other. And for our veterans and their families, that means the services, benefits, and support that they deserve and that they need. And we must never forget that. In that effort, I want to acknowledge the strong partnership with our veteran service officers here with Kevin and across the state, as well as our tremendous community organizations, our VFWs, American Legions, and our educators who teach our children to honor our veterans. Let me close with this quote from John F. Kennedy. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Let's all carry forward that spirit in honor of all our Malden and American veterans. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Next person I'd like to introduce you to is truly a veterans advocate, if ever I've known one. Probably known the gentleman for close to 30 some odd years. He speaks from the heart in honor and true dignity that he well deserves. Your state representative and my friend, Christopher G. Fallon.
Good morning, and thank you, Larry. In behalf of Representative Paul Donato, Representative Paul Brodeur, I bring you the greetings of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this morning next to Larry and next to our next congressperson. It is indeed a pleasure. Approximately 35 years ago, on a November 11th, or at a November 11th ceremony, President Ronald Reagan said that, remember, a veteran is not just someone who wears the uniform. A veteran is someone who works in an office, who works in a shop. A veteran is someone who lives in the streets. Ronald Reagan was trying to remind us that our history is spotted with veterans, whether they are currently in service or have served in the past. Senator Clark mentioned that there are approximately 21 million veterans in the United States. Almost half of them are over the age of 68. Just under 2 million of them are women. And in Massachusetts, of the 500,000 or so veterans, 10% of that number are veterans that represent the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. It wasn't long ago in this state, approximately 20 years, that Massachusetts was recognized as one of the worst states in funding veteran benefits. In the last 20 years, Massachusetts ranks among the highest of the 50 states in funding veteran programs, in creating exemptions, tax exemptions for veterans. In closing, let me say that approximately 150 years ago, Abraham Lincoln gave his famous Gettysburg Address this past weekend. And in that address, President Lincoln said, as he ended his speech, "We are no longer a nation divided by war. This nation under God will undergo a rebirth of freedom. And this nation of the people, for the people, and by the people will never perish from the face of this earth." No truer words have been said. 150 years later, those words still hold their boldness, their honesty, and their integrity because of the services of our veterans. God bless our veterans, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. They're moving, very moving. Now, to further on with the program, I'd like to introduce, great pleasure every time I have the opportunity to do this, is introduce the President Mayor of Malden, Gary Christensen.
This morning, we pause as a nation to thank our veterans for their sacrifice, their sense of duty, and for their loyal service to our country. And I want to start by saying thank you to all the veterans that are here with us today, and a special acknowledgement to the United States Marine Corps in celebration of their 238th anniversary. Few have given more to our country than the uniformed men and women who have protected, defended, and preserved the ideals that shape our way of life. Everything we have come to know, each routine, activity, and accomplishment results from their dedication and sacrifice. From exercising our right to vote and attending our choice of schools and church, to reading local press, and to watching the Red Sox win the World Series. Whatever we are doing, we need to remember that we have the liberty and freedom to do it because of the heroic actions of our veterans. Thank you. I am proud to say that Malden does remember, and our community remains ever grateful. Through the advocacy of Kevin Jarvis, who works tirelessly for our veterans and their families, along with the commitment of city councilors like Jim Nestor, who initiate the dedications and memorials in their wards, Malden continually shows its pride and respect for those who have served our country. Today is an example, with the unveiling of the empty chair here at McDonald Stadium to honor prisoners of war and those missing in action, and the memorial this afternoon for Albert N. Spadafora, whose life was sacrificed during World War II. So let us not just remember our veterans at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, but as we go back to the routines and activities that make up our lives, let us do so by making a promise that we will continue to do what it takes so that the sacrifices of those who have served and are still serving will not be forgotten. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce my friend, the leader of the Malden City Council, President Neil Anderson.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here and once again to honor my fellow veterans and the families of those veterans who are here, who have given and sacrificed the ultimate. I think the earlier presentations that were made have certainly expressed my sentiments. So there's no point in my repeating those things, but I do want to acknowledge some of the people that are here today, some of your elected officials, my colleagues in the City Council, my colleagues in the school committee, who have come here to express their support for this so very important, this Veterans Day, and for the veterans who have sacrificed. Let me, would you please acknowledge the presence here of some of my colleagues in the City Council? I see here to my right, Councilor Altrino, Councilor Matherson, Councilor Nestor. I see over here in the audience Councilor Murphy, Councilor Lucy, Councilor-elect Sika. Would you raise your hand so we can see who you are? Councilor-elect DeMaria. Councilor-at-Large D'Angelo. Councilor-at-Large Spadafora. And from the school committee, I see we have Lenny Iovino, Maria Doucette, John Froyo, Kevin Casucci, Adam Weldy. Have I forgotten anyone? And everyone else who's important that's here today, a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Let me introduce you to someone who's very important within the city and very important with Veteran Services for sure. He's a man who's taken care of a numerous number of problems, and he doesn't know when to stop, I guess, basically. He needs a break sometime, but does a lot of home visits. And anyway, he's very good. And the Commissioner of Veteran Services, Kevin Jarvis.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, veterans, elected representatives, and citizens of Malden. As you know, my name is Kevin Jarvis, and I'm a proud third-generation Malden veteran. When I was born, I lived 100 yards from here on Chester Street with my father and grandfather who served in World War I and World War II. Today we honor all veterans, past and present, and remember those men and women who are in our military today, fighting to preserve our freedom and democracy. Our military has a long and proud history, steeped in tradition, and marked by innumerable acts of bravery that have served to protect Americans at home and abroad. These traditions have been handed down by veterans, like a great many of you, to today's service members who are still fighting in Afghanistan and other locations around the world. And yesterday, on the Marine Corps birthday, the Marine Corps landed in the Philippines a humanitarian mission of rescue of immense importance. They're in there bringing food, medical assistance, generators, hospital care to the thousands and thousands of Filipinos who are suffering and are going to have to bury thousands of their dead countrymen very soon. We have the right to be proud of our veterans, and our country is better off because of each and every one of you. I'm reminded of the old bumper sticker, "It's hard to be humble when you're one of the finest," which is the way I feel about our veterans, and of course, my Marine Corps, who turned 238 yesterday. Hoorah! Any Marines here? Happy birthday, Marines, and happy Veterans Day, everybody. There's a couple of Marines right over there that I served with back there in Vietnam. Jim Lowing from York, Pennsylvania, and Jack McGarry from Nashua, New Hampshire. So we have plenty of people here from around other locations outside of Malden because we do it right. A lot of cities do not have parades. They may have a ceremony in front of a Legion or a VFW, but they really don't honor veterans the way Malden does. And yet today is Veterans Day. A lot of people don't have the day off, so they have to go to work. A lot of you took the day off or had other things to do, but you decided to come here and honor our veterans. At this time, I'd like to take a moment and just remind everybody that there are a lot of men and women that can't be here today or can't sit in these bleachers during a football game or march in a parade. Because since World War I, there are still 91,000 American servicemen and women missing in action just since World War I. The majority of them, of course, are World War II, but all battles. We still have a prisoner of war in Iraq, believe it or not. A year ago, Councilman Jim Nestor sent me an article about a POW/MIA chair dedication at Gillette Stadium. He sent me the article, and it was written by Kevin Cullen, I believe, of Malden fame. And in that article, a black chair with the POW/MIA logo that says "You Are Not Forgotten" was dedicated by Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, at Gillette Stadium. That chair is never to be sat upon, and is to remind everyone that that seat is unoccupied because there are many men and women who never came back to enjoy a football game, get married, get a good job, raise a family, and enjoy what we enjoy today. So at this time, I'd like Councilman Jim Nestor to step up and assist me and Mayor Christensen in the unveiling of this POW/MIA chair. Ladies and gentlemen, to all our men and women who never made it home.
Now also, at this time, I'd like to have a member of the Kevin James Irish Pipers do Amazing Grace.